How much would your life change if you knew every single time someone told you a lie? Even if that someone was you. Lies like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you can't own a business, and you definitely will never make more than you did in your old corporate job. Get ready to be proactive, passionate, productive, and oh so profitable in a way you never before experienced by opening your eyes to the Big Fat Lies Show. Now, here is your host of Big Fat Lies, success sorceress, and entrepreneurial spiritual mentor, Jennifer Cramer Lewis.
Oh my goodness, you guys. So if you are joining us in the Zoom room, please log into the chat on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room. And if you are joining us on Facebook, this is going to be broadcast for about 15 minutes to the first break, and then we'll disappear. So I recommend that you join us in the live Zoom room and participate in the chat and receive the information about effective communication strategies for and with the reflector energy type. And so you might be thinking to yourself, well, if this is just like 1% of the population, why do I care? So we're going to be talking about that today. And if you are a reflector, I will talk about my experiences with reflectors. Also, what I know about the reflector energy type and why you actually need to have access to these reflector energy types. And so, one, if you're a reflector energy type, I'm going to recommend that you have a piece of paper, you have a pen, you have something yummy to drink, and, we're going to go into what it's like to be the unicorn, to be the 1%ers. Like, why are you actually here? And so for me, quite often when I'm going to do a show, I do this thing that I call art imitating life and life imitating art. And so I did not sleep last night. I was super sensitive. Everything was waking me up. It was just impossible. It was absolutely impossible. And so luckily, I didn't have any meetings that I needed to be at before my show today, because my show is the valuable product on Mondays. And so I advocate for myself as the MVP of my life. And we're going to talk about that for you today, reflectors as well, because you are the most sensitive energy type by a country mile. And so I'm not a reflector, I'm a manifesting generator. I do have some openness in my chart. And so I'm impacted by this openness in my chart, but nowhere near as impacted as you are. Nowhere near as impacted as you are. So one, we're going to talk about sort of the specifics of the reflector energy type. We're going to talk about my experience coaching and facilitating a reflector type. We do actually have somebody sitting in the chat that is my client. And then we also have somebody showing up just viewing today that is a reflector energy type. And then also I'm going to tap into, the all space and just allow this information to go out and find people on the replay and allow them to receive the best information for them. And as always, I need to remind you that this show is as much a transmission as it is a masterclass. So notice how you're feeling right now, and then check in again at the end of the show and see what changes for you. Do you feel something different? Has there been a transmission? Has there been a transformation? And on the replay, wherever you are in the world, please, I want to see a thumbs up, and maybe you'd like to subscribe to this information if you find it valuable to you. And if there's something confusing, if there's something that, I kind of trailed off and didn't meet the mark for you, please comment wherever you're listening or reach out to me at jennifer@jennifercramerlewis.com. And as always, you are free to stalk me. The best place to do that is on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and find my channel, Jennifer Cramer Lewis. There's 2 channels there. Mine is Jennifer Cramer Lewis with the numbers and letters, because I ended up changing into a brand account. So find my brand account and interact with this information. I've already done effective communication strategies for manifestors, for generators and manifesting generators, for projectors. And now we are moving into reflectors. And so what is a reflector? So a reflector has an aura that opens and shuts and opens and shuts and opens and shuts. And so it opens and shuts depending on the transits. So the transits are what is happening in space. Like, where is Jupiter? Where is the moon? Where is your sun on your human design chart? And so your human design chart, if you've never seen it, there's data that's in black and there's data that's in red. And so your human design chart is based on 2 different dates. So the first date is your normal Western astrology chart. That's all in black, and that's called your personality. And so that's all of the normal Western astrology dates. And then the red side of your chart is 90 days approximately before you were born, when your soul crystal came into your little baby body inside your mom. And so that's when your soul crystal came in. So you were a soul entity inside your mom, and you came in with encoding. And so you get encoding from your actual birth time. And then you also get encoding when your soul crystal came into your little baby body inside your mom. And so where does this encoding come from? Well, it comes from space. It comes from astrology. And it also comes from something called the neutrino field. And so right now, we are being programmed by the neutrino field. There are microscopic data bits encoding us. And so you don't have to believe me on this. You can go ahead and Google and investigate absolutely everything that I say on this show. If you find something that I say that you have different information on, I'm always interested in different information. I don't have an ego in this game. And in fact, my ego center in my human design is completely open. I don't have any gates in my ego center. And so what I say, what I channel from source is for you. It's not actually for me. It's for you. And so whatever you find that's valuable, please take what's valuable. Please allow this to be a buffet. I'm not expecting you to eat the green jello if you don't like the green jello. Just take what's valuable to you, take what makes sense to you, and leave what doesn't make sense to you. Like, if you don't want to eat the green jello, don't eat the green jello. I really don't care. And I don't care. And what I do care about is you having a life that works for you. And I really, really want you to know that your unique color and shade in the cosmic tapestry is yours alone. So today, let's just pretend that that unique color in the cosmic tapestry is actually opalescent. And so imagine that the cosmic tapestry has an opalescent colored thread. And if you weren't there, 1%ers, reflectors, then that color just wouldn't be there. You are unlike anyone else on the planet. You, in your own uniqueness, are unlike anyone else on the planet. So I would say for reflectors, they have been rushed their entire lives to make decisions. They have been pressurized mentally, they've been pressurized physically, they've been pressurized time-wise to just hurry up and, get productive, or hurry up and get profitable, or hurry up and give me the answer that I would like to have about what you are going to do for me. And That's not how reflectors work. It's not. Like, if you can't get, if the answer's not available, then it's just not available. So if it's a rainy day and you want to go out and sunbathe, well, you can if you want, but is it going to be as effective as it would be to put your bikini on and put your sunscreen on and lay out in the sun and like soak up those rays on a beautiful sunny day? So reflectors, what I would really love you to know is that you have permission to take every single second that you need. Every single second. I want to give you permission to take every single second. If it takes you a year to say yes to something, or it takes you a year to say no to something, then take a whole freaking year. Take a whole year. This is something that I've really noticed in my life. I'm not a reflector, but when you pull my charts apart, my body is a reflector. Like my sleeping chart, I'm a reflector. And so I'm very freaking sensitive. And yeah, need you to understand how sensitive you are and how valuable that sensitivity is. Because there are people who are beige. They're beige, and beige is important. You make buildings out of beige, you make art out of beige, you make, if you look at the Kardashian Skims line, there's a ton of beige of all different shades, but there are people who are beige and you are not. You are opalescent. And so you may feel like, wow, like, how do I fit in? Well, the answer is you don't. You don't fit in. You might not even fit in with your, incarnated family. You might not fit in with your faith. You may not fit in with your spiritual practice. You may have outgrown what you thought that you were going to do for a living. You might be a doctor, and then you're like, wow, I really can't subscribe to Western medicine anymore. I mostly just want to run away from what it is that Western medicine is doing. And so then you go to Peru and you discover that you have, everything that it takes to become a shaman. And so you go and learn from the experts and you become a shaman. So you take your medical expertise, you take your sensitivity, and then you go and take some training and really become the thing that you are here to be and do, which is the most sensitive. The most sensitive. And so I would say for reflectors, it's very, very tempting to isolate. It's very, very tempting, like for reflectors, any of the isolation probably feels really, really good. I have a hermit, I'm a 2/4, I'm a hermit opportunist. And I would say isolation for me, being away from people, it's very transformative for me. And knowing that I'm a reflector when I sleep makes it, even more obvious to me how to take care of myself and get a really great sleep. So, no matter how romantic it is to sleep with somebody, if they're keeping me awake instead of conditioning me into having a beautiful sleep, maybe you have to watch that, reflectors. Maybe you do. So I wonder what questions that you have about being a reflector. How valuable can this information be for you today? I'm asking to channel this information. 99% of the show is channeled. It's information that I already know from my research that I've done. And then I just open up my throat gate, my 20, and I open up my 16, which is the gate of enthusiasm. That's the foundation of my business, is what's available now and what makes me feel excited to share. And so that's something that we look at for you as business owners. Do you have to be a business owner to work with me? No, but it sure helps. It sure helps. And so after the break, I really want to go into how to take care of yourself as a reflector. What else did I promise? Oh my goodness, so many different things that I promised, but we also have some people in the chat. So what would be valuable for you? If you're on Facebook, I'm going to invite you to come over to the inspiredchoicesnetwork.com chat room and interact with us over there. And this show is called Big Fat Lies. My name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis, and we are on the Inspired Choices Network. Join me after the break.
This is Big Fat Lies with success sorceress and entrepreneurial spiritual mentor, Jennifer Cramer Lewis. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com or send a question or comment to Jennifer at jennifercramerlewis.com.
Oh my goodness, welcome back, you guys. So in this segment, I want to talk about boundaries, baby, boundaries. And do they have to be razor wire boundaries? Do they have to have like machine guns and Dobermans? And, do you have to be locked inside the prison of your boundaries? Or can it be just velvet VIP ropes? So knowing this about yourself, that you are a super sensitive being and that you are impacted, maybe triggered by the world at large. And so how do you set yourself up for success? And then also, as someone who loves reflectors, as someone who has reflectors as clients or reflectors as siblings or family members, how do you take really great care of yourself by having excellent boundaries? So here's what we know about reflectors. They need a 28-day decision-making cycle. And so each day, the planets, not the outer planets, but the inner planets and the moon will be jumping through these gates, these human design gates. There's 64 gates. And so the moon will be going through some of those 64 gates during your 28-day cycle. And so how you feel, what you sense, what's good for you, what you want to do will change. And so I would say, and I say this on this show, probably every single show, I say to be a great scientist, you have to have great records. You have to have great records. And so how do you feel on Monday? How do you feel on Thursday? What aches and pains are showing up in your body? Did you sleep well? What have you felt like eating? What have you felt not like eating? Have you been feeling like fasting? Have you been feeling like eating a ton of juicy pasta with like garlic bread and so much delicious carbs? Like, notice this for yourself, reflectors. I really want you to start taking excellent records of how you feel on a daily basis. And also, I really noticed that the moon phases change things for me. You may notice that the moon phases change things for you. Like, do you sleep better during a waxing phase, or do you sleep better during a waning phase? Like, notice this for yourself. Do you make better decisions on the new moon? Like, when does your menstrual cycle show up? Or if you're past your menstrual cycle, do you notice that you have a cycle, it's just not creating menstrual blood? And so these are things that I really recommend. And then you collect that data, that how do I feel, everyday data, and then you start to collect it over months and over years. And what you can start to do is predict what part of your cycle is the best part of your cycle for implementation, what part of your cycle is the best part of your cycle to just be like, wow, I need to go sit in an off-grid cabin in the woods by myself. Like, don't even bring my freaking dog with me. This is me pretending to be you, by the way. And, know that about yourself. And then once you know that information, then you can start to make great choices with that. Like I see, is it okay that I sleep with my little kids in the same room? Well, here's some data for you. Here's some data for you. Like ask your body to give you the information. Like, did I sleep well last night with my little kids in my room? What could have changed? And then also I would get a family constellation chart. It's called a penta. And see what happens with your body when it's in close contact. Because I know sleeping with little kids is, like they're pressed up against you. They want to get cuddled, they kick you, they wake you up. Somebody has to go pee. Like, I think for myself, I prefer that children have have a very secure attachment to their parent. And one of the easier ways to create a secure attachment to a parent is co-sleeping. And so if you are willing to, like bite the bullet and, go those sleepless nights and really create a secure attachment with your child, however, noticing for your child, do they sleep better when they are in the room with you? Do you sleep better when they are together with you? And you make these choices based on data, not on emotion or not on, what the latest guru says, certainly not on what I say. But for me, I would say that the more people who are on the planet who have a secure attachment, who feel that they are completely loved no matter what magic and mischief that they get up to, they will have one parent at least that will help them get out of their magic and mischief if it goes a little bit wrong. But definitely start to collect that data, because it may be that you have to advocate for yourself to sleep by yourself. And so one of the things that I did do was my kids were sleeping in bed with me, and then I would move them to a mattress on the floor, and then eventually I moved them into their own rooms to sleep. And that's just how things happen for me. And so what's the easiest way in order to be able to have everybody get what they want? And as a reflector, you are very sensitive to the needs of others. And so one of the other things that I would love to talk to you about, reflectors, is, are you creating healthy boundaries? Or are you so aware of what other people want from you that you're kind of just like, wow, what I need is always taking a back seat to the needs of others, because their needs are so paramount that they're pressurizing me. And this is me pretending to be you. So with all that openness in your chart, what can happen is other people's thoughts, other people's needs, other people's emotions, other people's feelings, what they're sensing, any pain in their body comes into your body. And if you don't have energetic boundaries, and if you don't have actual talk to you out loud boundaries, like, no, I actually can't have you pressed right up against me while I'm sleeping. You can stay in the bed with me, but you got to be on your side of the bed. And so what we're going to do, this is me pretending to be you with little kids, is we're going to put a pillow there so that I can have my safe space to sleep and you can have your safe space to sleep, and see if that works. I mean, I think life is an experiment. I think it's very, very important for us to collect data on the experiment, especially for energy types that are so sensitive. Knowing for myself that I'm a reflector when I sleep, the only gate that I have active when I'm sleeping is the 19 gate, which is the most sensitive gate. It's the most sensitive one. So not only am I completely open, I've got this like super sensitivity sitting there. And so, if we were ancient beings, which we kind of are, then, that 19 for me really allows me to feel into the collective. And that's what you're here to be and do, reflectors, is to have a community that you feel into the health and that you advise on and that you're invited to advise on, you're paid to advise on. You're not just like bursting in and saying, that's not healthy. Because if anyone's going to get a smackdown for bursting in and saying, that's not healthy, it's going to be you, it's going to be the projectors. And so maybe just don't do that. Be cognizant of what works for you by keeping really, really excellent records. Really, really excellent records. We've got another question here. Let me find it. Extreme anxiety and being a reflector. She's a 1-3. Okay, so one of the things that I do notice is the reflector body types need to also have correct nutrition. And I would say that anxiety can be circumvented by making sure that the brain has enough nutrition. And so one of the things that I started doing years ago, which really, really helped with my anxiety, is researching what foods cross the blood-brain barrier, and started taking EFAs like fatty acids, MCT, medium chain triglyceride, that sort of like bulletproof coffee formula really, really works for me. And so the more you feed the brain, the more the brain has the ability to be able to navigate through life. And I really feel for myself that most of my anxiety has been taken away by effective brain nutrition. So that might be something that a 1-3 might want to investigate, is effective brain nutrition. The other thing that comes to mind is superdosing with niacin. And so to research what superdosing with niacin can do, it's brought people out of like unbelievable, like catatonic fugu. Like supplementing and superdosing with niacin feels like something that she might want to investigate for herself and try. Like it makes you itchy, it makes you flush. There's something called a niacin flush, but if it helps with the anxiety and really, really helps move forward with the correct energy, it's just so, so important for you to be in your correct energy as a reflector, like as 1%, as the rare unicorns that you are, thinking about getting invited into the correct communities, invited into the correct rooms, instead of, like being, sort of like an energetic firefighter, like helping people navigate their lives and, reaction to reaction to reaction to reaction. What would it be like for you to be calm? What would it be like for you to be in your signature? And we're going to talk about this after the break, but the signature for reflectors is something called awe. It's just like, wow, you'll never believe who I talked to. You'll never believe it. And then you get to share your story. You'll never believe this amazing thing that happened with my client. You'll never believe it. And, awe, AWE, is like, wow, you'll never freaking believe it. That's how you're supposed to be living your life. You're supposed to be in awe of yourself. You're supposed to be in awe of your surroundings. You're supposed to be in awe of your accomplishments. It's supposed to be that freaking fun for you, reflectors. And so if it's not that freaking fun, I would suggest definitely reach out to the community of reflectors and start learning how other people are navigating this. Definitely get some coaching. I have had some really, really great results with my reflector clients. And but more on tapping into awe and getting away from the disappointment after the break. This is Big Fat Lies, and my name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis. Join me after the break.
Do you want to know what the biggest, fattest lie is in the whole world? Jennifer Cramer Lewis has discovered, after working with hundreds of conscious, heart-centered entrepreneurs, that they believe in the lie that if you work harder, smarter, and faster than everyone else, only then will you be rewarded with success. Jennifer audaciously stakes claim that what is pleasurable for you will always be your direct route to the big bucks. Jennifer knows working this hard is robbing you of your dream life. What would you say if she gave you the keys to the Ferrari called your correct energy? What would change if you had a burnout-proof business plan, a juicy switched-on energy field calibrated by correct business practices, as well as Jennifer's success sorcery, deep psychic awareness, and support? The investment for this process is 1/6 what Jennifer's VIP level clients pay. Why? Jennifer believes that once you have this information, you become limitless. And that's exactly what this planet needs more of. Choose your limitless life and business at 888.jennifercramerlewis.com. That's 888.jennifercramerlewis.com.
This is Big Fat Lies with success sorceress and entrepreneurial spiritual mentor, Jennifer Cramer Lewis. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com or send a question or comment to Jennifer at jennifercramerlewis.com.
Oh my goodness, you guys. So thrilled that you are joining me here today on the Big Fat Lies show. So what are the Big Fat Lies? The Big Fat Lies are everything that's installed on your unconscious operating system for your body, for your being, that are stopping you from being so happy, so healthy, so wealthy, and so switched on and loved. So you didn't come here to have a hard time. You didn't. And even if you, like me, accidentally hit that select all button on the trauma, on the abuse, on the really, really multiple dark nights of the soul that you may have gone through, all of it adds to the unique circumstances, the unique capacities, talents, and abilities that you have as a being. Does that make sense, you guys? You are here to be happy, to be healthy, to be wealthy, and to be loved. So anything that's stopping that from happening is a big, fat, juicy lie. And I have had the capacity to notice what that is since I was a very, very tiny being. I am a lifelong psychic, a lifelong intuitive. And luckily, I grew up going to a pretty groovy church with my grandma where it was normal to receive messages from Spirit, from God, from Jesus. And it was also normal to be able to lay hands on bodies and to heal bodies with energetic healing. It was also normal to do a lot of other really super cool things. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Like my grandma was a bit of a religious zealot. And, but I can really see the parallels between how I live my life, how I empower people to know more about themselves through their connection with the universe, their connection with their body, their connection with spirit. And so some of the things that I use is human design and gene keys and, really going into people's sequences, going into what planet configurations, what houses that the planets are in is really, really indicative of how you can have a really, really great life. And then if you have kids who are living in the house with you, then, plugging into what's available with those children's energy field, plugging into your energy field, your spouse, their energy field, or a potential spouse plugging into your energy field. Like even if they're, 6'2", eyes of blue, multimillionaire, if they don't plug into you correctly, then we have to look at that. And clients as well. If your clients don't plug into you correctly, then you really have to look at that. And what I mean by plug in is paying attention to how your transits, your gates in human design, those 64 gates, 64 available in your body, and then also 64 available in your personality, your natal astrology, and how those go together. And, I've been studying this with the world's experts for 4 years now. So I'm halfway through or over halfway through my deconditioning process. And some amazing things have happened for me. Amazing, and also traumatic. Like I've lost 75 pounds of juiciness off my body. I also lost another 200 pounds in my primary love relationship. We weren't compatible anymore. Maybe we were never all that compatible. Maybe we were just making do. It sure felt like love when we got together. And, I don't own my beautiful B&B anymore. We ended up selling that. And, so one of the things that I really want to point out to you, reflectors, is some of the sensitivity that you have to others can be debilitating. It can be like, wow, when me and this person get into the same room together, I'm not myself. So think about that for yourself. Do you get to be you in your primary love relationships, reflectors? Because you are all about environment, your personal environment, your inner circle of people needs to be the correct people for you. Otherwise, you can't do what it is that you're here to do. So you might be like, what is it that I'm here to do, Jennifer? Show me what I'm here to do. So when you pull your human design chart, so you can go on to any web browser, whatever you like, and type in free human design chart, and you can pull that up. And there's something on there called your incarnation cross. And so your incarnation cross will be 4 different planets. And so one of those 4 different planets is 70% of what you're here to be and do. 70%. So if you begin to master that 70% and invite it into your business, invite it into your body, invite it into your relationships, just invite it in. And so interesting, like mine is the 46, which the archetype is the sensual. And so it's a love of the physical form. It's a love of my body. It's a love of how I embody my body on this planet. And I would say when I discovered this information and I was 75 pounds overweight, and, sad and depressed, going back and forth between depression and anxiety, and really just frustrated and angry and upset. And, I felt thwarted by life. I felt like, wow, whatever the hell I'm here to be and do, I'm just not doing it. And so when I discovered that my 70% that I'm here to be and do is the 46 gate, then I started to ask questions about, like, how can I be healthy? How can I actually love my physical form? How can I actually have a deeper connection with my body? Because I didn't have a deep connection with my body. I felt like, wow, this is an okay body. And I don't even really want to be on this planet. I had a lot of suicidal ideation and or ideation, or whatever that word is. And I also discovered I'm something called an emotional manifesting generator. And so the emotions, I don't know that I ever felt safe to express the emotions, but I do know that I've had tons of times in my life where the emotions were so low that I just wanted to off myself. And I've also had times in my life where the emotions were so high that I was just exalted. I was high for weeks. And, so noticing that for myself, keeping excellent records is what helped me start to embody this 46 energy and invite it into my business, invite it into my body, invite it into my love relationships, invite it into my home. Like, is this a safe environment for my home? Do I feel safe here? Do I feel loved here? Do I feel embodied here? And then also, friendships. Like, do these people make me feel safe? Do they add to my physical being? You know, like, it's super, super important, you guys, that you start to notice what this number one frequency is. And it's always going to be a surprise to you. You're going to be like, how the hell can I have a business? You know, am I supposed to be a diet coach? Like, I really took myself through a full, you know, like, I always like to take a year. I always like to take a year. Like, when I was coming out of being so sick and so overweight and so unhealthy and so blocked and so frozen, it took me a whole entire year. And then also, when I was coming out of my relationship and selling my house, it took me an entire year to go through that process. And so reflectors, it might take you 5 years to get where you need to go with your primary frequency. And we're never alone. We're never alone. We're only as alone as we allow ourselves to be. Even as a 1%er, even as a reflector, 1% of the Earth's population. Do you have to work with other reflectors? You can. Do you have the benefit of working with any of the other energy types and getting to where you need to go? Absolutely. Like, you can plug in your charts and see what happens, what definition shows up in your charts when you are working with a coach. And yeah, so what would I say? I would say a whole year for sure, working with your primary frequency, which is your personality sun on the black side of your chart. And then reach out to me. I do have a bunch of different resources that I would love to point you to, where you can find out what the archetype is and start to work with that archetype. One of the really great places to start to work with the archetype is something called the Gene Keys. And that's was created by a man called Richard Rudd. And, you know, he's still alive. He's still downloading beautiful information. And so those frequencies that came through with the Gene Keys really gives you information about what that primary frequency is for you. And so we're heading into another break. The primary frequency, I would say, you know, just my own example of the primary frequency for me, the 46. Well, the 46 is also called the Rainmaker. And I would say that I have a gift for serendipity. I absolutely have a gift for serendipity and being in the right place at the right time with the right people. And so if you listen to this show on the regular, I had this bank machine that we used to stop in this place on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, where they had cheap gas. And so I would fill up my car with the cheap gas and then, you know, go get some money out of the bank machine. And so I would have some cash to go shopping. And I think 2 or 3 different times I went to that bank machine and there was money sitting in the bank machine. And so this isn't the only bank machine that I've gone to where there was cash sitting in the bank machine. And it's not the only circumstance where, you know, where cash has shown up for me. And so once we start to master this serendipity, which is another one of the gifts of the 46, and there'll be other gifts of your primary frequency as well. Once we start to master that, then we can invite it into our lives. So for more on that, please join me after the break. My name is Jennifer Cramer Lewis. This show is called Big Fat Lies. Join me after the break.
Have you ever said to yourself, I knew I shouldn't do that? How did that feel? What did you make that mean about you? Success sorceress and entrepreneurial spiritual mentor, Jennifer Cramer Lewis, stands for you being deliciously ambitious, passionately productive, oh so profitable, and creating a life that is truly delightful in every area. Tune in to Big Fat Lies, Mondays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Eastern on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com to open your eyes to the big fat lies that are keeping business owners like you from being the bright, shining beacons that you came here to be.
Oh my goodness, you guys, welcome back. So we unbelievably are 3/4 of the way through the show, and I really want to invite you, to empower you to receive this information that's available through human design, receive the information that's available through the show, and remind you that these shows are as much a transmission as they are a masterclass. And so any of the questions that you have are extremely valuable to me. You can send me an email at jennifer@jennifercramerlewis.com. You can also find me on social media, find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook, find me on TikTok, binge me on YouTube, find my YouTube channel, and or reach out just in chat. And I do have a ton of resources available to you. And why do I care? Well, especially why do I care about reflectors is that they are the most unique energy type. And if we don't have them, in our lives, if you don't have a reflector in your life, then you don't actually have access in many cases to a clear reflection of who it is that you are. And then as a reflector, oh my goodness, how interesting would it be to have a clear reflection of who you are? Like, how interesting would that be? And once you start to have that clear reflection, and then you have all of the different, I call them vectors, all of the different vectors in your chart, like, oh, okay, well, if the moon is here and the unconscious moon is here, then how do those go together? If your personality sun is here and your personality Mars is here, how do those go together? And so, of course, people want to reach out to me to get a clear reflection, regardless of their energy type, of what it is that they're doing for business, what it is that they're doing to create money, what it is that they're doing in their relationships to create a juicy love relationship. You know, those 4 pillars are super important to me: happiness, healthiness, wealthiness, and love. And so when you have all of those 4 things, those 4 vectors for you, then it's just contentment. And what would that be like for you, reflectors, to just be truly content? And, you know, to be honest, to be blunt about it, a reflector will not get a clear reflection of themselves by looking in the mirror. I don't believe that a reflector can facilitate themselves. I actually don't believe people can facilitate themselves at all. You know, like, I'm always working with coaches. I'm always up leveling my game in whatever area of my life that's currently not working to optimal speed and velocity and satisfaction. You know, if my serendipity gets turned off, I know that I'm in the wrong spot for me. I'm in the wrong energy for me. And so, because there's so much unconsciousness, so many big fat lies that are installed on our unconscious operating system, you have to work with a coach. You have to work with a facilitator. You can't just self-facilitate. It doesn't work. That's my point of view about that. And, you know, am I asking you specifically to work with me? Maybe. Is this what I do for a living? Absolutely. Am I great at what I do? I have a ton of different testimonials and people who say that I'm great at what I do. But I think that probably the very first thing is that we need to have a conversation. We need to see how your transits plug into my transits, your gates plug into my gates, and see whether or not we actually are a contribution to one another, because it's really easy to see for me. And, you know, so if that sounds like something that you would love to do, I would love to get together and just have a quick little chat with you, plug our charts in together and see whether or not there is a possibility to work together. Am I inexpensive to work with? No. Are you the MVP of your life? Absolutely. You are the most valuable product of your life. And learning to master yourself will add to your profitability. It will add to your financial flows. It will add to your personal joy. It will attract a beautiful love relationship or upgrade the love relationship that you're having right now, which will make you a way happier person, a way healthier person. And so think about that for yourself. Is this the year that you are going to transcend out of the lower harmonics, they're called, blame, shame, regret, guilt, anger, rage, fury, hate, and get yourself up into like love and delight and play and joy, the higher density feelings? And so for a reflector, if you are deep down in the pit, it becomes super difficult for you to navigate your life. Those dense feelings, the blame, shame, regret, guilt, anger, rage, fury, hate, like all of those feelings are very human feelings. They're very, very human feelings. But if you don't know what to do with them, you don't know how to clear your energy centers and transcend out of it. You don't have a sense of like, okay, well, what frequency becomes my Mr. Clean that cleans out my energy centers? And mine is delight. And that's encoded in the 46. The 46 invites me to delight. And so if I'm not delighting in my life becomes dense. My life becomes hard, and it becomes really, really difficult for me to make changes. And so that's what I'm inviting you to, reflectors, is let me know what your personality sun is. Let me know if the transmission has been juicy for you today. Like, how do you feel now that you've spent 55 minutes with me? And, what are you going to take forward in your day now that we've been together? And, what changes are you going to make with this information? I'm always thrilled to find out. And I'm super grateful that you made it here today. Thank you so much for coming. Please join me.
Thank you for listening to Big Fat Lies with success sorceress and entrepreneurial spiritual mentor, Jennifer Cramer Lewis. Join us next week at 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Eastern on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until next week, Jennifer invites you to laugh at limitation and live your life delightfully by opening your eyes to the Big Fat Lies Show.